Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's a party. It's a party. And you guys have invited me. I'm so excited. We have some guests in the studio today, but they're not in the studio yet. They went out to grab a quick bite to eat. So if you hear some scurrying and scuffling in the background, that'll be them joining us. So who do we have here today? Well, there's my guest, Pastor Herman. He's not here yet, but he's on his way. But I get that static sound. Uh-oh, static sound. Well, we'll have to see what that is. Let's see if I can hear it on this end. Check 1 2. Check. No, I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Hold on, let me mute the mic. Check. Check. I do not hear it. Don't hear it, Rich. Help me some more. Okay, so we'll set that aside for just, it's a hissing sound. Intermittent. Oh, it's intermittent. That's even worse. Let's just check and make sure that I've got my sound plug in and on. Yeah, it's in and on. Quick experiment. If I turn the mic off, do you still hear it? Ready, set, 3, 2, 1. Now the mic is on. Did you hear the intermittent static, the hissing sound during that? Hello, Kyle. Hello, Rich. Hello, Miranda. Good to see you guys. Rudy, Ken, Peter, Jim. Who else? Herman says he might have stepped on some wires. With the mic, the hiss is off. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rich. Let's see. If we switch mics, do we still hear the hiss? So the desktop mic is off, and we're coming to you from the mic across the room. Is the mic hiss off when I do that? Because we can just, we can do without this mic. I don't know what I might have done to it, but you never know. You never know. Rich says the mic hiss is off. So we'll just keep talking on this mic from across the room and see if that makes any difference. Does it take that long for the sound to get there? Is there a lip sync problem? Or does it just sound like I'm far, far away? I don't really care, but you know how that goes. Ken says, sounds like a wireless receiver without a transmitter. Okay. And Wixton says yes. Wixton, I'm afraid there's enough delay, enough latency in the broadcast today that I don't know. Oh, the hiss is gone. Okay. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Wixton. That's what it was. That's the question he was answering. Desktop mic, no static but low hollow sound. Interesting. Far away. Okay. Okay, far away. Well, let's not spend too much time on this because we're just in the pre-show here on this side. So we'll move over to the other side here in just one sec. I want to give my guests a chance to come back, but if they're out eating, they may be a while. So if they are listening or watching, I've set up some chairs for you guys on the side. So just slip in and slip into the chairs, and I think you'll be okay. Yeah, you'll be okay. Ron's here. Karender's here. Michael is here. Michael, you and I need to get together and do another show. Yes, we do. Love to have you. All right. So, one little note here. 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, got it. Got it. All right, well, let's switch over here to that set, and we'll have a go at it. Let me turn the ringer down for the phone and make sure I've got that down. And sorry about this. Trying to, and we'll make that 0. That's good. So let's go over to the other. I actually made a little shot here. Let's see if it's still good. Yeah, a little shot so you can see the guests when they arrive. And who knows if they'll actually make it back. They may have gotten stuck at the Sizzler or someplace. Okay. And, well, let's do one more thing. Yeah, there they are. They're coming back now. If you come visit the Streaming Idiot Studio, you do get a prize. So we'd love to have folks come by and visit us in person. And who knows what kind of good stuff you're going to get when you do. Let's adjust a couple of lights here because we moved a chair. 1 second. Don't go away. There we go. All right, let's see. Whew. There he is. Welcome, sir. Come have a seat. You're fine. Pick a chair, any chair. I got some goodies for you on that chair.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Very good. And with us today in the studio is Herman. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Portillo?
Portillo.
Portillo. All right. And let's see. We've got a shot that's got Herman in it. Give everybody a wave. There we go. All right. And Herman got some Streaming Idiots and vMix goodies for visiting today. Glad to have you with us today. You notice on the top left panel up there, that's the chat.
Yeah.
And I can see about the last, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 chats. I don't get to see everything.
That's coming from the social?
That's coming
vMix
from vMix Social, and it's coming from the Facebook Streaming Idiots, the Facebook Eastern Shore Broadcasting page and the YouTube.
The YouTube page.
And so they're combined together, and you can see the little icon in the side. All right. Very good. Well, with that, guys, let's get the show on the road, shall we? Ready? Here we go. Welcome. Thank goodness for the cough button. Holy cow. Welcome. Glad you could make it to Streaming Idiots. What a terrible start to what's going to be a really great show, I promise. I am so glad that you guys could carve out some time today. And Kenny, thank goodness Kenny is finally here. We can start the show. Kenny and Dave are going to be, again, they've promised, I'm holding you to it, this will be their 3rd year doing the interviews at the Streaming Idiots meetup at NAB this year. That's going to be at NAB Monday night, April 20th. It's going to be Monday instead of Tuesday this year, but it'll be April 20th at Scott Whitney's podcast studio there in Las Vegas. So it'll be a for real live stream studio that we're having the party at. Come and meet all the other folks that you've read about or talked with or, corresponded with in various ways or seen them, in the chat. Like Kenny Hampton. What does Kenny Hampton look like? I mean, really. Like Cliff Sobel. I mean, what is Cliff? Is he really as nice a guy as Tom says he is? Well, you get to come to this party and you get to meet all these folks in person. So put it on your for sure to do calendar for NAB 2020, April 20th in 2020. How about that? 4th month, 20th day, 2020th year. So there you go. While we're talking about NAB, it's newsworthy that the folks at AJA have pulled out of NAB. They've got concerns over the coronavirus for their employees and staff, and so they've decided to pull out of the show. They were in their exhibit was in the southern lower hall, right around the corner and up the aisle from vMix. So somebody will be taking their place, or NAB will be carving that booth up into some smaller booths. I guess that booth was about certainly not the size of the Black Magic booth, but it was probably 3 or 4 times the size of the vMix booth. So if you recall the vMix booth from the last couple of years, it was about that size. I don't know, maybe vMix can get a slice of it. We can move onto the center aisle. That would be kind of fun. But it's kind of interesting as you think through the process of the coronavirus, and is this as big and as bad as we've heard it is, or is it just another flu bug that's passing around? Based on the rates of transmission, it appears to be pretty contagious, but the mortality rate's pretty low. At one point, I haven't seen it lately, but the last time I saw it, it was about 2%. I mean, nobody wants to be those 2 in 100, but most of the cases here in the U.S. of folks that have died, in fact, possibly all cases have been folks that were either older with compromised immune systems or compromised respiratory systems. So I'm still going. I hope you will too. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we can always talk about it as the coronavirus NAB, the one that some people stayed home from. But you want to mark on your calendar April 20th for the Streaming Idiots meetup. It's going to be a ton of fun. One of the fun things that we're going to do this year, and I think it's going to be fun. Maybe you don't think it's going to be fun, but I'm stoked about it, is we're going to do a video booth. And Scott Whitney at Podworks Studios, Scott has said that we can use his green screen studio and set up a video booth there. So we'll put a backdrop on the green screen and a camera over there with Mike, and everybody that comes to visit, that comes to the party, can give a shout out over the live stream. What's a live streaming event like the Streaming Idiots meetup, if it's not live streamed? So we'll have different parts in the program where folks can go give a shout out to the folks that are watching at home, and of course it'll be recorded, and we'll have it available everywhere. Somebody says that 9 have died out of 120 affected in the U.S. So it's up to 7.5%. That's pretty high percentage, but the numbers are, as you know from any statistical analysis, the numbers have to be significant in order to really have a good feel. I was reading a blurb yesterday about somebody that was trying to get tested because they thought they had it, and they couldn't find any place to get tested. They were in Washington State, and could not find some place that would test them because they didn't meet the requirements. They hadn't been to a foreign country or had interaction with somebody that had come back from one of a number of countries. So certainly by the time NAB shows up in, I guess it's next month, we should have a good handle on what's going on with that. But, and Merle says, he and I are older, but we're not compromised, despite the fact that I have to use my cough button every now and then. So we got the video booth. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you'll get some use out of that. We'll be doing the interview and the live streams with Dave and Kenny. You remember Dave Edwards? Dave was on the show last week talking about automation for vMix, which I'm really excited about, and we'll talk some more about in just a minute. I've had some correspondence with Giles Warham, the developer of that plug-in, that accessory, and we'll talk some more about that in just a second. So NAB, still on. I'm still going. I hope you're still going. It's going to be a lot of fun. The vMix folks have put out a new vMix update. It is 23.0.0.41. They actually asked me, I was impressed, they asked me to help evaluate 4.1 before they released it. The difference is 4.1 is mostly pointed, from what I can tell, it's completely pointed at vMix call. And let me unpack that for just a second. As you know, vMix call relies on the WebRTC protocol for transmission of audio and video and data in a peer-to-peer relationship between point-to-point between two locations. And vMix has had vMix call since vMix 18 or 16 or something like that. Anyway, it's been several years. And the underlying technology for WebRTC is something called Datagram Transport Layer Security. And the DTLS has been upgraded from version 1.1 to version 1.2. I know you're relieved to hear that. But what it means is that Google Chrome browser and Firefox browser, and I think Opera, you'll have to double check me on this, but I think the Opera browser, all three of those that have the WebRTC capability in them, have also been updated to this DLTS 1.2. So you need to get the new vMix 23.0.0.41 to stay compatible with all this. I just updated my Google Chrome today, and you say, well, Tom, I do a vMix call to vMix call connection like you do. So when we have guests on the show, most of those folks have vMix on their end, and we're just going vMix to vMix. But the underlying technology of that is that we're using Google Chrome under the hood with WebRTC to make that peer-to-peer connection, and vMix just sort of rides on top of that. So I think you still need to make the update. Frankly, I think you need to make every update. vMix is not like Microsoft. By the time vMix releases an update, they have tested the tar out of it. They've sent it out to all the applicable experts in the field and said, please try to break this. And then after a while, and I guess it's been maybe a week or 10 days, from the time I got it till the time they released it. They release it into the wild for you guys to check and make sure it's it's A-OK. It is official, that is, so if you go to vmix.com and if you download the trial edition right now, you will get the .41 edition, 23.0.0.41. I keep saying that because Martin doesn't like to leave the 23 part off. He wants it to be official. Doesn't want to call it a dot update, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll try to talk him out of that eventually. So you need to get the dot update is the bottom line, because vMix has released it and you want it. And the other things, in addition to updating the WebRTC library for DLTS 1.2, and Chrome and Firefox are going to start rolling out their updates to their browsers this month. So if you want to stay compatible, you need to move forward on that. vMix also has improved the connection reliability of vMix Call, especially as it has to do with difficult firewalls. So now vMix Call only requires one single port to be opened up in order to make that connection through the firewall, something that they call WebRTC bundling. That is, everything gets bundled together and then shot through that port. There are also some overall general connectivity improvements, especially if you have kind of flaky internet. You'll see you may not even notice it. You may just say, "Oh, wow, the internet's working really well today." And last but not least, if you do iOS, iPads, or iPhones, you will have an improvement in the connectivity there. When I tested the other day, I was testing with an Android device, and the best resolution I could get at one point was, I think it was 360. And then when I switched over from Android to the Chrome version within Android, to the desktop version, that's what it was, to the desktop version of Chrome, it bumped up to 720, but all the folks that have iOS have told me they just get 720 right out of the box. So what that means is, if you have a guest that's coming in using their phone as their connection point, that is audio and video to you, it's better if they use an iPhone. Now, we're going to find this out because I'm trying to talk my wife into getting a new iPhone. And that's right, I'm going to get her old iPhone, so I've got something to test here. I don't want to make calls with it. I'll just hook into Wi-Fi, but I just want to see what it's going to be. And if those of you that are out there that are iPhone users, if you could help me out and tell me how to turn it on, how to turn it off, those kinds of things, because I don't do iPhones. I do want to give another shout out. If you've just joined us, I have a guest in the studio today, Herman Portillo, from where in Florida?
Lake Wales.
Lake Wales, Florida.
Central Florida.
He's come all the way up here with two of his daughters and a loner, Vanessa Valeria and Jennifer the loner.
Yep.
And they're doing some college looking, and he's popped into the studio today. Give everybody another wave. There he is. All right, very good. And visiting with us, and we were able to get him a little swag there. Rich S is the .41 tested and Tom approved. Well, I think so. Frankly, by the time it gets to me, most of the time, it's already been approved by Martin, and that's the one that we really care about. If Martin thinks it's good enough to release to the general public, it's pretty darn bulletproof. I'll tell you, that's just been his history. He doesn't throw junk out there, hoping that you'll do all the beta testing for him in what might otherwise, with other companies, might be a release version. He's not going to release it until he's tested it every way he knows how and sent it to people that, for example, WebRTC. When WebRTC first came out, I was one of the folks on the forum that was really pushing it and trying to insist that it could be done. And in fact, it was a forum post. If you haven't gone to the vMix forum, it's forums.vmix.com. Pay attention to the feature request section, because that's the gold mine that vMix will visit from time to time, every day, to get ideas on what to put in the next version of vMix. So if you've got a great idea, don't tell me, don't put it on the vMix Facebook page. They're going to say, put it in the feature request section of the vMix forum, because that's where all the good stuff. Well, we had a huge thread going on what was going to be vMix call, but we were talking about using the WebRTC protocol in order to create vMix call. And early on, probably 4 or 5 years ago, Martin said, WebRTC is just not ready. We'd like to do it, but we want to do it where it's going to work. And we know about other software programs that have released similar video and audio transmission programs that didn't work when they released them and still may not work. So Martin wanted to make sure that vMix, again, was absolutely bulletproof so that you can count on using it and count on using it reliably. And so all that conversation way back when they had a beta they were working with, they contacted me and said, Tom, would you mind doing some testing with us on the vMix call and see, I don't even know that they called it vMix call at that point, but to see if we've got something and what suggestions you might have. And they sent me a very special version of vMix. I think it was like vMix Tom Test. That's what it was. That was really fun. I still have it. And so Tim and I had, midnight here in the USA calls to, I guess what was it, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning in Australia, and would test. And at one point we were having problems with video artifacts and some sync issues with audio and different kinds of things. And they needed somebody on the other side of the world to play with, and they knew I was a sucker for that kind of stuff. And so I did it and they did it. So my guess is they reached out to me again to test the .41, and from what I could tell, it was ready to go. And in fact, it was ready to go because it's now been released on the vMix website as the latest, greatest update to vMix. So if you haven't gotten it, go ahead and get vMix 23.0.0.41 from vmix.com. And it's where you download the free trial. That's where you get the update. A lot of times people are like, all I can see is the trial. I don't want the trial. The trial is the right one. Just download that, install it right over your existing installation. Yeah, you can back up your presets and your settings and those kinds of things. I never do. I probably should, but I don't. And that's the deal. I'm playing this whole game like I'm an idiot. Like I'm an idiot, right? Like I'm an idiot. Playing the whole game like I'm an idiot because we all do idiotic things from time to time. And so I'm going to kind of be the canary in the mine. And if it happens to me, if something negative happens to me, then we'll know not to let it happen to you. Yeah, you guys notice Rooney, our mascot. That was courtesy of vMix. They did the drawing on Rooney. In fact, Rooney even appears, well, he doesn't appear on this one, but he appears on the latest version, the latest American version of the vMix mousepad. Rooney is on there with Tom Sinclair, the banana guy. So if you want a mousepad, remember you can get a free mousepad from vMix if you're here in the States at I want a mousepad at vmix.com. That's it. I want a mousepad at vmix.com. Yep, there you go.
Or you can come here.
Or you can visit the studio. That's right. I think the one I gave you is not the latest. Let me get, before you go, don't leave. Let me make sure you've got it, an approved Rooney mousepad. There you go. So thank you to Rooney, and thank you to Gunnar for making that point. But I want a mousepad at vmix.com. You'll get one, and you probably want to go ahead and do it soon because we are getting low on the limited edition Rooney mousepad. If history is any indicator, we will not be coming back from NAB with any vMix mousepads from NAB. vMix brings like truckloads of mousepads, and people go out with armloads of them. So if you come to NAB, you want to come to the vMix booth like as soon as you get there and get your mousepad. Otherwise, there may not be any left for you when you finally show. You can come back multiple times and get multiple mousepads. In fact, you can ask Tim or Martin to autograph it. They hate that. They hate that. So ask them to autograph it for them. They'll get all embarrassed. It's really funny. But they are rock stars. They really are. Anyway, so that's vMix 4.1. vMix 23.0.0.41. Get it today. What happens if you don't get it? I don't know. That's a good question. I was working with vMix 23.0.0.41 last night because I had it on my Surface and I need to get it updated. And I wasn't able to get a video connection established with somebody I was working with. And I don't know if it was that problem or if it was another problem. So we're going to play some more with that and find out. Yeah, Rich says you can send an email to iwantatesla@vmix.com, but you probably won't get a reply, and you certainly won't get a Tesla. I can assure you of that. Oh, well, no, they're not going to send you a Tesla. They're not going to send you a Tesla. So let's talk. So we had Dave on last week talking about automation for vMix. And I've heard from Giles Warham. Giles is over in the UK. And Giles is the one that has put all this together. He's written all the routines. And it's sort of a modular approach from what I can tell. And there's sort of the base modules that do the scheduling, but there'll be different modules. And the module that Dave was showing us last week is the module for TV production. So there may be other modules that would happen for other types of presentations, maybe a radio version. It's going to be interesting to follow that. The DIY version, do-it-yourself version, is $60. I don't even think they're selling it yet, but you can go to stepbackintime.tv and go to the automation tab and download the trial at this point. I think you get a free temporary license key. But the TV version is going to be priced I think at about $700 plus, which is pretty reasonable when you think about, doing animation and automation, not animation, but automation of a TV, what they call playout software traditionally. The high-end professional stuff is tens of thousands of dollars. So to have something that will do, just like vMix, will do 90% of what a TriCaster will do for, 50% or 40% or 30% of the cost, this is going to be the same kind of thing. The automation for vMix is going to do everything that the TV playout softwares can do, or 90% of it for a fraction of the cost. Eastern Shore Broadcasting, my company, will be representing automation for vMix in the marketplace. We'll be probably one of several. So if you have interest to that, it's not ready for prime time yet, but it is coming down the pike. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting and another vMix game changer when it gets here. When you think about the vMix game changers, and you say, Tom, are you a vMix fanboy? Of course I'm a vMix fanboy. I mean, duh. But look at vMix brought out vMix Social. What was it, like 23 years ago? It seems like that, but it's been 4, maybe 5 years that vMix brought out vMix Social. People are just now discovering the power of that. Martin Sinclair read the tea leaves. He looked down the road into the future and he anticipated what people were going to need. And he said, okay, let's do that. And he figured out vMix Social. Same thing with vMix Call. vMix Call is taking over. And people are discovering it every day and going, well, why would I want to use Skype? Why would I want to use Zoom? Why would I want to use these other things when I've got vMix Call built right in? Yes, and that was at least 2 years ago, maybe longer. vMix was one of the first kind of non-mainstream players to introduce SRT. That was in vMix 23. That was the big deal in vMix 23, SRT. vMix was the very first software to implement NDI. That was 2016. I mean, that was huge. So being associated with vMix is, number one, being associated with a quality brand. It's being associated with really well done software that's tested and ready to go, and you can take it to the bank kind of stuff. and it's also software. It's the creative mind of Martin Sinclair that can see into the future and anticipate what the next big thing is and create it before anybody else discovers it's the next big thing. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, it looks like we're getting some more guests here in the studio. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. We got some seats for you here. Glad to have you. This is Vanessa and Valeria and Jennifer. Come on, Jennifer. Over here, we got seats. Come on. Come on. Wave to the camera. The camera's right over here. There we go. Wait, right. See that big shutter thing right there? The camera's on top of that. There we go. All right.
More shy than the 7th graders.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so we'll have to think up some swag to give them. See the top left-hand window right there? That's all the people that are watching from all over the world.
Oh.
And so we're going to ask them in just a minute what kind of swag we should give you to go home with. So there you go. So y'all be thinking about what kind of swag. Think about something that you know I might have here in the studio. No, we can't give away cameras.
Oh, I was thinking about that.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. All right. So while you guys are thinking about that, we're going to close out this part of the show. We'll go to post-show and we'll get some ideas and bring some of these ladies into the conversation here. So we'll be right back. Okay. Have come up with some ideas of what we can send. Whoops, wrong one. Of what we can send you out with. Let's try that again. Oh, no audio. Yeah, we got audio. Yeah, we got audio. Try Morse code. All right. See if the audio is back. Well, it's right here. Is this thing working? Should be working. All right. Why are you guys not hearing audio? Audio's, they're just teasing. They do this all the time. Gee whiz. Maybe Tom needs mic swag. The audio is working. No, now I do. Well, now you say, okay, all right. You need a tally light for lost audio. We didn't have lost audio. Actually, there's a light here on the keyboard, but I wasn't paying any attention to it. Okay, now we do. So what should we send these ladies away with? What kind of things we have? We have, of course, we have dum-dums. The show is called Streaming Idiots,
yeah.
And so it's a play on the whole idea that everybody feels like, well, your dad's probably told you, everybody feels like an idiot sooner or later. And so one of the members of the group and one of the viewers works for the Spangler Candy Company somewhere out in the Midwest. Well, Spangler Candy makes a little lollipop called the Dum Dum. Well, wouldn't that be perfect? So they sent us a big carton of them. So we got some Dum Dums over there in the bowl that Dwight made for us. And then my personal favorite candy is something called Smarties. Well, that kind of feeds into that whole idiot vibe. So we've got Dum Dums and Smarties. And then we've got mouse pads, which you can't eat, but they're really great if you need a mouse pad. You can't have the bird dog equipment. You can't have the X keys. You can't have the PTZ optics cameras.
What about the Ada?
You can't have the Ada camera. That's going into a studio for a school. And let's see. And T3 True Design says we were not teasing. Yeah. I was showing them earlier that we're working on a project for a client where we're connecting a radar gun to a PC to vMix, so that when the radar gun determines what the speed of, in this case, it's going into a baseball stadium, so that what the speed of the pitch is, it will display that it will display that information in vMix, and you wouldn't believe the path that we have to go through in order to get that data. Number one, in order to get the data in a way we can use it, and then once we get it, just to populate a lower third or some sort of title file. But we're almost there. It's been a lot of fun. It's good little project. So if you're looking for a project where you can record radar in vMix, give us a call. We have got the ticket. No, this is not a bird dog right here. This right there is not a bird dog. That's Rooney the Jack Russell Terrier. For those of you that might not know, might not remember, we did a spoof about 3 years ago. Panasonic said that they had a camera that was NDI compatible. Well, what they meant was you could plug it into a capture card and then bring it into something like vMix and then make it NDI. So that's not NDI compatible. NDI compatible is you plug it into the network and it works. So we spoofed Panasonic and said that we had a new product that I could connect my Jack Russell Terrier to called NDI Leash. And so we brought Rooney into the studio, and Rooney displayed his NDI leash, and we had a little camera on him, so when he ran around, you could see everywhere he went. It really wasn't him, it was somebody else. So that's why Rooney has sort of gained some notoriety, so much so that the vMix guys have had this caricature of Rooney made, and Rooney is now a member of the Streaming Mascots Alliance, which is an international association that has about 8 or 10 mascots like the bird dog, like Dan Sinclair, the banana guy, like Spiny, the hedgehog, that are all various mascots of various live streaming groups. So there we go. What model radar gun? Kyle, it was the Stalker radar, I think the Pro 2 version. It was a funny thing about the radar. You think, okay, radar for a baseball stadium, you're going to plug it into power, you're going to plug into the radar, and the radar is somehow going to plug into a PC, which is going to give the data to vMix. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. We can do that. And I unboxed everything, was setting it out, and the power connector for the radar was a cigarette lighter plug-in. They had stripped this thing off a state trooper car somewhere and shipped it to us, and they didn't really. It was brand new out of the box. But apparently their radar plugs into the cigarette lighter, so we had to get an adapter for that, and you can't find those adapters anywhere. Anyway, we did find one, but so it's really pretty cool. And they said, Tom, you can test it and see how fast you can run. So here in the studio, I've got about 15 feet. I think I can get up to about 3 miles an hour in 15 feet before I crash into something. But we were able to tell that it really does. Rich says that they're doing the radar thing this season with softball. There you go. Must be fast pitch softball, not the old slow pitch for old guys. Let's see what else we got. Tom Willis is here. Tommy Willis lives right up the street here in Tallahassee, Alabama. Now, not Tallahassee. Didn't y'all stay in Tallahassee last night?
Yeah.
At the La Quinta. I saw that. Now, you got to be careful what you put on Facebook. But Tallahassee is up the other way, up kind of northeast of here, near the lake. There's a big lake up there. All right. Oh, I know. Wixton says to give you guys 5 minutes in the show talking about anything. You want to do that? Okay. Obviously, these girls are not going into broadcast. No, I tell you what. Why don't we do this though? Herman, why don't you talk about your church a little bit and what you guys are doing down there? I think everybody can hear on this mic. Let me
Good.
point
Yeah.
that direction.
Like he was saying, my name is Herman, and we are from Lake Wales, Florida. We just been appointed by the North American Mission Board as church planters of a small Hispanic church that is not a mission anymore because we just became a church this year. So
Congratulations.
yeah, and we have a congregation of about 25 or 35 people,
Okay.
regular attending.
Okay. That's huge.
And yeah, and one of the things that had helped a lot, and we got around 2 or 3 families that are come to the church, is from our broadcasting on Facebook. And we started doing YouTube and Facebook at the same time, but we focus more on the Facebook. It has more expandable for
Agreed.
people. More people are on Facebook than on YouTube at the same time. So we focus on the Facebook now, and we have. It's funny, but we got more giving from people watching us on Facebook than people inside of the building.
Really?
So yeah, we have more support. Sometimes we start our service with more people online than in the actual church. So, but we're doing our best, and people are engaging. They're getting to know the church. I'm encouraging them to go ahead and check in on Facebook every time they do, so people from their wall or their network can see where they at and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So how do people that watch us online come?
Yeah. We had 2 or 3 families that are they started watching us online and they liked it and they came and they stayed. So
did they talk about that experience?
Yeah, we always as a church, you always have like a connection card, and we don't have the money to buy the connection card, so we always ask and say, how did you hear about us?
Sure.
Because I had never seen him, and I'm the big guy on the town. I mean, I'm the big guy from the insurance company. I used to do DirecTV, so I was the big guy for DirecTV. I mean, if you needed DirecTV, you go see the big guy over in the corner. So everybody knows me.
I have a feeling that you would be the big guy no matter where you are.
Yeah. Well, that's a joke that we had when they were in elementary school. We moved to Frostproof, that it's a little town just beside Lake Wales, but it's smaller than Lake Wales. So they're twins. So they're always, I'm used to, that's the twins' dad. That's the twins' dad. So I talked to my dad. I said, Dad, everybody knows me in town now. He says, Herman, there was nobody with your weight in that town before. So believe me, they're going to know you.
Good.
So that way, a lot of people know. So when I see somebody new, a new face from a town nearby, I always ask them, how did you hear about us? And they always are telling me Facebook.
Now the services are all in Spanish?
Yes, we have the only service that we do in English, and you can't do that. You can't get away with that. Is the youth group.
Okay.
Because the youth group, their primary language is English, so we do it in English.
Okay.
But everything else, our prayer meetings are in Spanish, our Bible studies in Spanish. So we have and it's really nice because Central Florida is being it's multi-Spanish. I mean, you don't have only Mexicans, but now you have a big community of Venezuelans. That I'm from Venezuela.
Okay.
And I remember 5 or 4 years ago, they were asking me, Papi, who else is from Venezuela here? And I was like, nobody else. We're the only ones here. Mm-hmm. And now we have a community of no less than 30 people, about 6 or 7 families that moved just to Lake Wales because of all the situation in Venezuela.
Right.
So that we got Venezuelans. We got a lot of Guatemalan people. Mm-hmm. We got Honduras. A lot of people coming from the border from Honduras. Now we got a good community there. So and she's from her parents are from Cuba. So she's Cuban, half Cuban. Well, no, you're complete Cuban. So it's
half.
yeah. And so that would, it makes me happy seeing. Sometimes you have to be careful what you say, because even though it's Spanish, but the dialect is different. So I might say something that is a bad word. So you got to be careful with that. But we do, we do our best. And it's really weird when you say a word in the church. And people go like, oh, "What did you say?" And I go like, "What is that for you?"
Right.
And it happened before, but it's something that God puts in our heart, first to me, and then they've been, my wife and Vanessa and Valeria has been really supported. They're doing the worship now, and they are really shy. You notice here they're really shy, but God has worked with them with the worship, and then Jennifer came in and just popped in. So they're the worship team in my church. Well,
Awesome.
in our church. So
Awesome.
So we're really happy about what we're doing.
Is that becoming more comfortable the more you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when we were 12, we would have never imagined
Yeah.
being singing.
But now that you're 13, it's a different thing.
They just turned 18.
Aha.
Yeah. They're twins, so they just got on February the 20th, and she was first, so I got to deal with that.
And y'all are all seniors?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to find a new worship leader in about 5
Well,
months.
actually, I've all this trip and all what we're doing with the college, Baptist College of Florida, is because they just opened in Lakeland. So I'm kind of like encouraging them to stay in that college so they can attend in Lakeland. I'm smart. I'm trying to be smart, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm just putting it in there for them.
How far is Lakeland? from Lake
Lakeland is about 35 minutes, 40 minutes from where we're at. Lake Wales is really easy to find. If you divide Florida in four, we're right there in that cross, between Tampa and Vero Beach, and Jacksonville and Miami. So and we're in the middle, right there. It crosses US 27 and State Road 60, and that dot, that's Lake Wales. So it's really nice. Bach Towers, Cherry Pocket, that's what everybody talks about over from Lake Wales. So we're right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one of the things about Cherry Pocket is that you can land your plane and the hydroplanes and eat there and all that. So if you have a hydroplane,
My plane is in the shop. It's today. Not working today.
Good.
Well, there's a great intro to Lake Wales. If you're down that way, you want to. What's the name of the church?
It's Iglesia Bautista Nuevo Amanecer, New Dawn Baptist Church.
New Dawn Baptist Church. But you have to speak Spanish in order to have a clue what's going on there.
There you go.
And my Spanish
Well, actually, one challenge that I had the other day, and this is thanks to vMix. I mean, it like I said before to you, it's been a blessing. The other day, a pastor called me and said, "Herman, I got a family in Lake Wales. They want to go to church." I said, "Well, that's what I'm looking for. So give me their numbers." He says, "Well, there's a small detail." I was like, "What?" "Or they're deaf."
Deaf.
And I was like, "Okay.
Wow.
What am I gonna do?" Well, I found web captioner,
Yes.
and I implemented, and I put it on the screen with vMix. I crop it, and everything they were so happy.
Get out.
And everything that I was preaching, it was coming into the big screen. Everybody was thrilled when I did that, and I did that in about no more than 3 days. I had everything that I needed. I just got an old computer, into the web captioner website, and I set it up in Spanish, and I put it up in the mixer, and I just got the vMix desktop capture and chop it up and put it on the bottom. I mean, that family was thrilled. Actually, the lady was completely deaf. She was nothing. The husband, he kind of like, listens a little bit. And I saw her like, moving with the music. I was like, okay. And then I went to her and I said, are you the one that that listens a little bit? She says, no, I'm completely. So I said, why you were moving? She says, because I can feel the vibration, so I can go with the rhythm because of the. I was like, wow, but they moved to I think it's Connecticut, Massachusetts, because they have more benefits over there in their condition.
Massachusetts.
Yeah. But we lost them right there. But they're trying, and they asked me, if we go to a church over there and they don't have it, can you explain the pastor what you did? I said, of course. So I think God just worked mysterious ways in that matter, but it was awesome.
Absolutely. Well, there is a success story right there that none of us could have anticipated when we got up this morning, that we would hear that about how Herman is using web captioner in vMix
in Spanish. In Spanish.
There's
that was my concern, because
I
knew there was something
that will translate also.
My concern was that the
19 languages.
Yeah,
we need to talk about that.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's
how about
beautiful.
How about that? Well, folks, we're going to wrap up the post show here today, but thank you for popping in with us. And if you're ever in Lake Wales, remember to look up Herman's Church, and you can. He's in the Streaming Idiots group, so if you're going to visit that area, you might want to pop him a note in advance. That way you can get all the contact details straightened out. He came here today without any problems, but I don't know. Central Florida is a little bit different than Fairhope, Alabama. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for visiting in the studio today. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week on Streaming Idiots. So let's see. How do we get out of here? Will this work? Nope. That didn't work. All right.
That's what we call the Streaming Idiots.
That's right. 1 second.